Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining ADESA Group for our webinar series, SAP Options for Your Workforce Management. Today is Conclusions Day. Time flies, right? In a moment, we will be joined by today's speakers, Jose Maria Almendros and Carlos Rodriguez from ADESA, both senior consultants in workforce management. First of all, I want to share a few things about our webinar. During the webinar, all attendee microphones are on mute. We will answer submitted questions at the end of the presentation. But if you have questions in the meantime, you may type them at any time in the questions box in the meeting control panel. You do not need to wait until the end to type your questions. If there is no time left to answer every question, we will reply to you via email. Also, this webinar is being recorded. You will receive the recording via email within 2 business days after the webinar ends. Today's objectives can be summarized in 3 main points that we want you to take home. First, a global understanding of SAP recommended solutions for workforce management. These past 5 weeks, we have been reviewing all the options that SAP recommends for workforce management, that being Employee Central Time, Fiori solutions for on-premise, workforce software, and Kronos. Second point is the added value of a workforce management implementation project. We will have a real case scenario. And finally, we want you to take insights on next steps, what you need to do after selecting your workforce management solution. So I hope that you enjoyed. I will give the word to Jose Maria. Let's kick off. Jose, the stage is yours.
Hello, Silvia. Hello, everybody. I need to say that it's a pleasure to be back, in spite of us not being, or I have not disappeared in the previous session, so I've been there collaborating with our colleagues. But as said, it's a pleasure to be back, and of course also to have Carlos here together with me, who will present a bit more about the technical things about all the solutions that we have been reviewing these previous weeks. So I hopefully that everybody can see the screen. So let's start with the agenda. In the agenda of today, and as Silvia also introduced, and maybe as you may have heard, we plan to review some of the top features that we have already presented by our experts. And of course, we want to show you what would be the next steps on the HR transformation path within a workforce management project. On top of this, and according to our experience, we will review a specific example, including some challenges, some solutions that normally we propose, and of course that we have implemented. And finally, and that's an important one, it's the business impact about each one. So let's start. I would say what happened so far. So this is just a quick introduction, quick summary about this previous session that we had. So, you know, on the 7th of November, I started with this introduction about workforce management. You know, if you remember well, some of the factors normally to be considered at the time of selecting a workforce management application. And, you know, this gave rise to now continue with some of the solutions offered by SAP. It was an opportunity that we took in order to have some specialists on each area to present a bit more in detail about the power of each solution. So with that being said, we continued on the 14th of November. It was, you know, that it's been normally every Thursday. So we had our expert, Harold Thyssen. He introduced a bit more about Kronos and, of course, as a unified platform for managing the workforce. Thereafter, it was the turn of SuccessFactors Employee Central Time. On the 14th, we had our colleague Sven Ringling. He was speaking about the new European regulation. So that way, this was the way to introduce a bit more about Employee Central Time and how this could help to fulfill with the new law. He concluded with an interesting demo about requesting time off, both for employee and for manager roles. Then following, on the 28th of November, we have Kevin Pilat. He's our Fiori expert. If you remember him, he spoke a bit more about Fiori as a good alternative to all of these cloud solutions. And, you know, somehow Fiori is not known as it should. And it was really a pleasure to have Kevin here and to know a bit more about the potential of Fiori. And then the last one, but of course not the least, we have Gordon Gilkinson, and also we had Tony Absalom. They finished last Thursday with a dynamic presentation and a demo about workforce software. and they were simulating the mobile application. That was really, in my opinion, very well appreciated. And of course, they also commented about the standard integration with SuccessFactors Employee Central, both for time and attendance and also for forecasting and scheduling solution. You know, it was another way to show how employees can collaborate within the whole workforce management process. So again, and having said that, it is now time to review what are the main factors, what are the main features that we consider to highlight about each reviewed solution. Remember that we have all the recordings available in our website, so feel free to visit the website and go through each of them. But for the next section, and as I introduced, we have our expert, Carlos Rodriguez. He will do the recap, but not only from a functional or from a solution perspective. He would be starting, or he would present also from an implementation point of view, based, of course, on our experience and previous projects that we have normally finished or we have had in previous months. So, Carlos, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Hello, Jose Maria. Hello, Silvia. Thank you very much, Bob, for having me in the webinars and letting me join. During last weeks, I had the opportunity to follow you through all the sessions presented by each solution expert. We all could understand each product vision, the strength, and in general what they offer as SAP solution options. So my intention now is following some of the guidelines that Jose Maria gave us in the first session. So put all that information together, do a recap, a summary, and in a few bytes, give an overview of the main aspects of each solution and what we find more interesting to highlight. So first of all, we started talking about the platform. This is referring to how flexible the platform is, how the integrations are designed in the architecture of the solution, and how if it's a harmonized user experience through all its parts. So in the first session, we had the workforce dimension for Kronos, and Harold Tyson presented what they call one platform for the entire employee lifecycle. So all modules, mainly timekeeping, schedule management, forecasting, analytics, are within same application framework. Kronos Dimension integrations are running based on Del Boomi, and of course it can be connected to SuccessFactors Employee Central. And also Kronos provides a powerful platform called D5, which allow APIs, integrations, and extensions like Microsoft Outlook, you can see in the screen, and other third-party applications. You can see also that the Employee Central usual modules are also available in the main screen. So that was for Kronos. We had Sven talking to us about how the SuccessFactors Employee Central Time is built. So of course it's embedded into the home screen for SuccessFactors. The components the solution is offering, time off, timesheet, time administration, and reporting, are incorporated together with the rest of SuccessFactors modules. So the design is appearing really harmonized with all the SuccessFactors features available, the same layout, so everything is on sync. So regarding Fiori, we found with Kevin that they are providing a set of standard applications for front-end to improve the user experience for customers running traditional on-prem SAP HCM. Those apps are request, approve, time off, timesheet, and team schedule. And yeah, those apps are smoothly added to the Fiori Launchpad, as you can see, together with the rest of tiles. Let's say that Fiori has an on-prem and cloud version with different features. You can go to that presentation to have more details. And the Fiori architecture also allows enhancements into the application ahead of the standard product. So you can also develop your own custom UI5 applications. And to finish with this platform review, Tony Absalom presented a suite of workforce management applications, time and attendance, advanced scheduling, forecasting, and time collection mainly, which can be accessed from their native framework, but also they can be embedded naturally into the SuccessFactors home screen with their own specific tiles per application. In terms of integration, the SuccessFactors Employee Central is built with a standard package in SuccessFactors, in SAP Cloud Platform integration. And also, we should say that the Workforce developed their own integration platform, which is capable of running RESTful APIs also and giving it a bit more flexibility. Okay. So this is all about platform. The next features we should check, it's about the accessibility, the ease of use, and the user experience. So in terms of accessibility, all the solutions proposed show their version for mobile or application in some cases. So all the features, all the capabilities, the coverage of the applications and the modules are in general covered also for multiple devices. In the case of Kronos and Workforce Software, they also presented their own data collection terminals with biometrics measures, like the one you see here for Kronos and Workforce Software. And when we talk about accessibility, we talk also about real-time calculations, responsiveness, access to data, metrics, reporting, KPIs. So in general, all the options show their applications in real time. So there is no need to wait for running any background in general job or process. So they showed everything in this case. You can see the timesheet for Kronos. You can see also data from SuccessFactors. Everything is real time and accessible for the user anytime. What else? What other aspect should we highlight regarding alerts? When we talk about alerts, we say notifications for the employees, for the managers, and to focus their actions, the main points to interact with the tool. So they are naturally using a control center, for example, for Kronos. Sometimes they are grouped into the notification areas and the tiles. For example, for SuccessFactors, you have the tiles and the info grouped. You have also the My Inbox application in Fiori, and it's grouped into the tile information. Workforce Software is combining exceptions, for example, for the time and attendance modules for the employee and for the manager as well, together with timesheet messages and acknowledgement, which we found very interesting. We're talking now about coverage of the solutions. Each solution have a different set of applications. We found, for example, starting with Kronos, that they are very powerful in complex calculations, in timesheet, in acros, in time off processing. They are offering everything divided by modules, like we talked before, in timekeeping, scheduling, forecasting, reporting, analytics. They are the main modules they do. They have hourly and salaried employees, and we found interesting that the managers has the access to flexible reporting. They can build their own metrics, reporting, and data views real time. Regarding SuccessFactors Employee Central Time, we should say that this is a pragmatic solution aiming to cover most of timekeeping scenario. Is a basic solution evolving very fast with the few application offering the timesheet, the time off, and the time administration. They cover the basics for a standard solution, a simple solution. We should remark that reporting, for example, is now migrating into SuccessFactors People Analytics, which is it's a good thing for them. For Fiori, they are in more or less in the same situation because they are providing those applications, the standard applications for request and approving time off and the timesheet and team schedule. They are evolving as well with the new releases for the standard for new versions. So the coverage is a bit basic, but they are evolving as well. And for workforce software, we found those modules covering as well hourly and salaried employees for time and attendance. They have also the advanced scheduler with extensive features, time collections, reporting and metrics as well. And they are capable of running complex calculations in the timesheet for the accruals and for time off as well. And some customizations are available. They have also this scheduler, which is a powerful tool with forecasting together. And we should highlight as well that they allow multiple assignments, which is a nice feature. In terms of local and global compliance, in all cases, we found that they are flexible enough to comply with minimum regulations, European regulations like the Working Time Directive, the GDPR regulations. Kronos for sure is a flexible solution, is powerful, so he can be easily adapted to any regional regulation. SuccessFactors is looking for a simple solution capable of taking localizations, and it's mature evolving solution. So it's a pragmatic which can attend the basic regulations in most of the countries. Fiori is also covering the main compliance regulations, and for workforce software, we found country templates, which is really useful for implementation. It reduces costs and time implementations, and also some configuration specifics for GDPR, so they are aware of the situation, and it helps for us for implementing a project. And to finalize, we should talk a little about costs and how the licenses are organized depending on the solution. So for example, for Kronos, they are dividing the licenses between the modules for timekeeping, scheduling and forecasting, and they have licenses per user, per seat. They call it seats, and they divide by hourly employees and salaried employees as well. They have a different licenses for depending on the case. For SuccessFactors Employee Central Time, we should say that it's included in the Employee Central subscription, so it's not a real problem. And should say also that no need of Employee Central payroll existing to have Employee Central Time. We had to clarify that. Regarding Fiori, the license cost is included in the NetWeaver license, so no additional cost from that. And we had Kevin explain that the difference between on-prem version and cloud version, depending in terms of cost, because cloud is automatically updated, on-prem is a little different, but it was a bit more expensive. And in terms of cost, Fiori is a bit difficult to measure because of the customization. Depending on the enhancement we do, we should take care of that. To finalize the workforce software, is also something those package solutions for the templates is something we should consider to in the costs, and that's all. I think we finished with all the points we wanted to review and the highlights, and this is all from my side. Jose Maria, did you take back?
Good. Thank you, Carlos. Great summary. You mainly describe of the top features that we receive from our experts. So I think now, let me back to the presentation. You know, we have a lot of information, and the way that I wanted to present and actually to follow or to continue after all of this knowledge and information that we receive from all of our experts, it's with this specific question, which that's something that we really use a lot here, and it's so what? As I said, we have a lot of information, and therefore there might be many questions. What do we do now that we have an overview about the different solutions offered by SAP Workforce Management? What's the impact? What's the added value? So for me, this is a really interesting topic that we also wanted to show and to present here. In order to answer to all of these questions that you might have, we are presenting a specific case for a retail industry where it is, in my opinion, very well described what were the challenges that the customer was facing, why this customer decided to implement a workforce management application, what was the solution that was finally provided, which added value, or maybe in other words, which business impact this application brought. So we divided this, as I introduced, with challenges, solution, business impact. In my opinion, quite interesting, and you know, it gives us another vision, another way to actually think or start thinking about the workforce management application. So let's start with the challenges. Initially, or maybe we have listed here the main challenges that we consider that this specific customer was facing, but I'll start with this one because initially, and it was even surprising for us, this customer was still using paper to track the timesheet of their employees. They, of course, not only that, they wanted a valid solution covering all the different employee roles and profiles that they had in the company, which in this case, it was hourly salaried employees, but they were also differentiating between unionized and non-unionized employees. On top of that, and also apart from this differentiation between employees, and also about this thing that we commented about with the paper time sheets and so on, so they were looking for an unified and consolidated system, of course, covering all of these topics that we have pointed out, but also all their needs inside of the same platform. If you remember, this is something that Carlos started introducing. It was about the flexible platform, so you know, a unified platform. So something to keep in mind. Then, if we continue getting deeper into more specific demands that this customer was or this customer had, you know, being part of the retail industry, they had a lot of trouble with unpredictable work schedule, but it's not only that. They wanted to offer the possibility to their employees to directly handle shift changes by themselves. And I need to say that this has been a very common demand that we had from some other customers. So it's something that I wouldn't say modern, but it's very commonly asked and requested by customers. So they want to give their employees the possibility to ask for changes in terms of scheduling, but not only that, it seems that this customer, first of all, in order to get that information, you know, they use some internal surveys. So they wanted to know how or what were the challenges or the needs of their employees. They wanted to know how they could be facilitating the working life for these employees. You know that we started with the introduction, happy employees, happy customers. We wanted, or we were speaking about how to empower the employees, how to keep engaged employees, how to keep our employees working in our company, and how they should be recommending to other colleagues to come to our company. So this is actually the idea, and in my opinion, a good initiative that they took internally inside of this one. So then, maybe following with the next one, and also from a management perspective, and also based on very time-consuming reporting, they wanted to easily create manager reports. They wanted to offer visibility on mission-critical key performance indicators. So that's what we normally call our KPIs, our famous KPIs. But not only that, they also wanted to be able to notify about overtime, unexpected absences. Again, something that Carlos presented, if you remember, in the previous slide. So it was about the alerts. So now that we have, let's say, a set of challenges, what was the solution that we provided? So how did we work with all of this information? What were the possibilities, our advices? So I tried to summarize. I didn't want to go into detail about every specific detail about all the different challenges that we faced, but we started with a forecasting and scheduling together with a time and attendance solution. No need to say that, of course, this was covering the request of a unified and consolidated platform and, available for all type of employees in the company. But let's take it from an employee perspective. So what was the solution that we provided for all of these requests that I commented to you that they were facing because of these surveys and so on? So from an employee point of view, forecasting and scheduling offer employees to easily check their team members' calendar, but to see who is working on each shift and to whom they could request a shift change. And in addition, with forecasting and scheduling, employees or this solution provided to the employees the possibility to manage their availability. So what does it mean? They could inform, so they could be offered to work on a specific schedules. I don't know. I'm gonna be free this weekend. I have no friends. I have nothing to do. So I'm offering to my manager to do some extra time on this weekend. Maybe roughly speaking, we could say that it provided the automation of a scheduling process and, of course, the optimization of the schedules. But how? Aligning the right employees with the right skills at the right location and time. So that's what we normally say: right time, right place, and right employees. So it's exactly that. Managers could easily create schedules that comply with staffing requirements, collective agreements, and labor law regulation. Then, concerning the time and attendance module, this is a module that we propose to cover all the things related to time off and timekeeping, including timesheet submissions, of course, by the employees, and also the approvals by the managers. All the different timesheet exceptions, all the different calculations, premiums, and so on, are implemented inside of this module, meaning that every employee would have, in real time, visibility to all the timesheet calculation, overtime, leave accruals, etc., etc. So, in order to control and maybe to monitor who is in the real working time when an employee punch out, etc., we also propose the data collection terminals. This, and also again, as Carlos introduced, this allowed providing secure, convenient, and reliable ways for employees to enter time and job data. And it's, again, quite related to what we introduced with the first session, with the first webinar. It's about the employee engagement. And you are secure, that how your time is being tracking, and you are sure, you remember the factors. We have the fairness. So this is completely fair. I know that the time that I'm spending in the overtime, it's going to be taken into account. It's going to be reimbursed to me, time in lieu with time, with money, etc., etc. Of course, it depends on each company. So having said that, I think that I would say that there is no need to mention that along with all the described points, a self-service and a mobile application was included. Normally, this cloud solution, they have a very user-friendly application to be used in the mobile, to be used in the tablets, or in any other devices. But that's something, again, that it empowers employees to use the tool and bringing new functionality, so facilitating how they can introduce data, how they can request a leave, holidays, and so on. Okay, let's continue. Business impact. For me, this is a good one, probably for many companies, but I want to say that maybe from a helicopter view, we have reviewed the challenges. We have now said what was the solution implemented, but let's now jump and talk about what was the business impact that our workforce management solution or workforce management application brought to this customer. So the first bullet that I wanted to highlight is the reduction. Of course, if you remember, they were using still a spreadsheet and paper time sheets. The reduction of the paper and hence the printing cost. That was a real added value. Around, and this is a real number, 10,000 manual time sheets were eliminated. So not just a few. It was also confirmed that and well proved that they receive a better customer service. This, of course, as a consequence of the optimized schedules. It ended to an improved visibility of the schedules and staff availability across the retail outlet. The manager, of course, they had a better visibility, but with a clear employee satisfaction, with access to all the different schedules online, and with the possibility, directly from your mobile, go and request a shift change. Another one, it also contributes in reducing time administering leave absence. In our case, it was by 50%. So it means that the absences were reduced in a 50%, and of course, as a result of reducing, or this result in a reducing payroll inquiries. You remember that during the first presentation, during the introduction, we were considering, or we were discussing about bad consequences of bad workforce management, or I would say in another word, consequences of having bad workforce management, and this could be a good one. If you remember, we had employees looking for another job after the first payroll mistake. It was an important point, but not only that. So at the end, you remember that we were speaking about money and all the money consequences, but if we want to keep our employees engaged and working and recommending our company, that's actually something and definitely a good result that we need to look for. So we need to empower the employees to contribute and believe that the work that they are performing in our company is really having an impact. Not only for managers, there was also a good business impact, and it was for the HR department. It allowed and offered full visibility into leave usage and patterns across the organization. I would say in overall, and maybe I'll finish as I started, happy employees, happy customers. We had some challenges, we had some problems. We presented a solution, we implemented the solution, and then we achieved our goals. We had a good business impact, and we had very good results, not only in production, also in the satisfaction of our employees, because we really help them to contribute to our company. Okay, so after this part that I was commenting about, the last slide that we have prepared, it's just to show you what would be the next step after having selected a solution. So imagine you were in the situation looking for a workforce management solution. Now it's clear for you which solution you want to implement. This is time about what we call the discovery. So let's go into detail about it, because I think it's another interesting topic and something also to be aware of, because of course it might help you during this long process. So with this discovery questionnaire, we try to understand and evaluate your challenges, and when I say your challenges, we try to understand and evaluate the customer challenges. So we can propose, and actually that's the end that we are looking here. We need to propose the most suitable solution and the implementation in order to achieve all the goals and the desired benefits that you want to with this specific solution. So with that, we normally first start with an understanding of your current timekeeping process, and this is about the existing limitations. So not only the challenges that you have, we also want to know what are the most useful features and those improvements that you would like, or that you would most like to see. I'm implementing, or I decided that I'm going to implement a workforce management solution. It's not only about what are your current problems. We are also interested about the good things that you already have, because we would like to keep them, but not only to keep them, we also would like to improve them. So let's review, sorry, let's review some example of questions that we normally follow inside of this process. They are, of course, a bit more specific about your functionality, about your daily basis. So, for example, about the data collection, something that we normally start doing is, so how the work time is normally being recorded in your time sheet. In this case, with this specific case that we reviewed before, it was about smart sheets, but of course it might, smart sheets, about papers and spreadsheets, but it might be the case that they are nowadays still using another solution. So we really need to know what's your current solution and what we can offer about this. Another question, so do you use time data data collection terminals? So how do you introduce the data? Are you using mobile devices, smartphones, tablets? Are time entries directly saved to the timesheet using a desktop browser? Who is doing that? Do you have a timekeeper? Do you have an employee? Is the employee the one doing that? So who is responsible for normally taking those actions? Another one, it might be, for example, about integration. So do you use or do you import time from any other third-party system? Are you using any other system to transfer data to the current time solution? That's something that, of course, we also need to know. A good one, which it's quite interesting, it's about the user roles. User roles normally define the privilege that a user has and that the users place in the timesheet approval hierarchy. Do you use any other specific roles than the common ones like employee, manager, and administrator? Do you have some special requirements about this? That's something that we would need to know in order to move forward with that. Of course, security. What we normally recommend here, of course, there are many specific questions, but do you have security concerns related to your data? And not only to your data content, also to your data accesses. So do you have corporate security standards and policies for a software solution? So what are the checks, audits that normally you need to complete, that normally you need to fulfill? So that's also something that it should be covered during discovery. I'm not going to enter in more details about that, but for me it's quite important to highlight, and in overall there are many questions to ask in order to get a correct and a good understanding about the processes, about the needs, and about the goals that you want to achieve. So I would like to finish with this, and in case that you have or you are facing a similar situation or you need some advice about workforce management solution, I can only say, so we would be happy to help you. Don't hesitate to contact us. Sylvia will continue with some details, some questions about it. But don't hesitate to contact us and to come back to us asking questions, because we know and we faced this before. Whenever we, as soon as we get in touch with this kind of, a situation that we might be facing at the time of implementing a workforce management solution, that's the best. Otherwise, it will become problems at the end. So I would like to thank you, Sylvia and the team for giving me the opportunity to having introduced and to having share something about all the different workforce management solutions. So I really hope that you enjoyed this webinar series. And that's it. Sylvia, I think that you wanted to proceed with the questions part, and go ahead.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this great conclusion. Well, first of all, the reason why we're doing this webinar series was to be objective, provide some clarity, some information on the different solutions that SAP recommends for workforce management. So we hope that that was clear, that you got overview, you got insights on every solution, and now you have more information to choose with the solution that fits best. That was the purpose as well of this conclusion. and they did a wrap up. They explained and finalized with the next steps and the questions that you should take into account. So we will go now to the questions section. But there is no question, so I guess everything was clear. In any case, we can take questions individually or specific cases depending on your needs and the needs of your company. We are here to help. That was it. Today it was the last day of the webinar series. We started the 7th of November with the introduction. We learned about Kronos, we learned about Easy Time, we learned about Fiori, we learned about Workforce Software. There was some intensive 6 weeks, but I hope that it was with, well, it had a purpose. I hope that you really enjoyed that you learned about the different solutions. We are happy to assist you for any question that you might have in the future. Here you can find in this slide some useful links, some articles to read about workforce management. So for example, how to empower your employees with time management, what is SAP strategic focus, some blogs as well in the SAP community about employee central time and attendance, and also the link to the webinar series. So as you know, you will receive the recording via email within 2 business days, and you will have access to other sessions if you want to come back and see something in the demo that you missed sometime. Those are also our contact details. Again, feel free to reach out if you would like to analyze in detail your specific case and need some advice in any different solution. Again, thanks a lot. There were very good 6 weeks. Again, hope you enjoyed. Well, have a nice day. We will end the webinar now. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.